Hello, true art believers, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome, where I make videos of acrylic pour paintings, live stream drawing videos, of which I'm trying to do one a day, very early in the morning, like 6 a.m. But who's watching that early anyways? I am, because I'm drawing. And have interviews with artists internationally around the world. Before I start, please make sure to smash it hard, the subscribe button, and hit the notifications bell. Tonight, I'll be talking with Xan Walker. Xan Walker attended the School of Hard Knocks in Seattle, San Francisco, and the Los Angeles area as an 80s street punk. Oh, wait, why did I put as? Oh, I think it was during the 80s street punk era at the height of the punk rock scene. I think I had that all mixed up. Whoops, I messed up. Sorry. She later earned her BFA in printmaking and painting at the University of Washington. Currently, Xan Walker is a photojournalist who captures urban landscapes in the San Francisco Bay Area. I hope to hear more about her story in this installment of the Artist Interview Series. Thank you and enjoy the show. Xan Blood Walker, how are you doing today?
I'm good. You made me sound really cool.
Oh, well, you're already really cool because you were in the School of Hard Knocks and was it punk rock arena or was it arena or era? Sorry, I was mixing like fighting and punk rock into one genre, so I was getting really confused there. How's your
in California? They kind of were the same genre, or in Los Angeles, they were kind of the same genre. In Seattle, too.
Punk rock
and fighting.
Oh, fighting. Okay. Yeah. Well. Wait. Unpack that. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by like they were fighting?
We got in a lot of fights originally because like the term punk was not a cool thing. It was like, you're a punk, right? Like bad. We would end up getting a lot of fights in Seattle. It was a lot of fights with jocks. Like jocks hated us, we hated them, they hated us. We get in lots of fights. And in Los Angeles, it's just I don't know. It's I guess in the 80s. The 80s were crazy, and I don't know if it's just Los Angeles or if it was the 80s or it was both. But there was a lot of fighting going on.
A lot of fighting going on as a punk rocker.
Yes.
What level, if you were to like self-reflect for a second, what level of like punk rocker would you categorize yourself? If there were categories, right? I don't know any, because imagine I don't know anything about punk rock, and I don't know like the tier system of like the how hardcore punk rocker you could be. What level would you be, and what would that definition be for you?
There actually are kind of different level. I don't know if they're levels, but different categories. I was for sure a street punk because I was homeless most of the time, doing lots of drugs, making money however. So we were the street punk crew.
And like what other like categories of punks were there? Right, so you had street punks.
You got political punks. There's straight edge. There's Nazi punks was a thing.
Oh wow.
There was, we used to call them. I don't remember what we used to call them, but there was the punks that used to like live at home, and then in the summer they'd come down and hang out with the city kids. We pretty much called them posers. They're the posers.
Oh, posers.
And then like they were just punks in the summer when they weren't at school, like or that 1 month when they were in the city, and they had the brand new leather jackets and the brand new boots, and they bought their clothes from what was that? You're asking me to go far back in time, but there's some store that sold punk clothes.
Spencer's?
No.
The Gap?
I don't remember. No, the Gap didn't. It wasn't a thing then. No. when I first got into punk, you had to make your own clothes because there was no such thing, which leads to another category that we would call the cartoon punks, because originally punk was supposed to be like just being an individual and being real, and cartoon punks had like the perfect hair, the perfect they like, if you were gonna draw a cartoon of a punk rocker, that's what they looked like. So yeah, which is kind of today, like I think it happens more today where you have to look the look, that kind of thing.
So it was like the poser punk or the cartoon punk was like maybe the equivalent of how movies would portray punks,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah.
They had like the perfectly made like hairdo, the perfect. I'm imagining like mohawks. Was that like part of the theme of punks, or was that ever like a thing?
That was like really cool. People could pull that off. It was actually
Really?
a lot of work. It was like a lot of work. Like we would help each other do it because it was hard to do. There was no hair products like they have
Yeah.
now in order to do that. So egg whites were the big thing. People would put
Yeah.
egg whites in their hair and let them get stiff, and yeah.
And would you have to like like hang upside down maybe to
No, you'd have
create
to
the
just like,
punk rock effect?
you'd have to like, if it was sorry, I'm in the mirror, but like somebody here, like you just pull it up and you'd have to hold it until the egg white sat, and then you do the next
Yeah.
part. If it was a Liberty spikes, which were my favorite, so you'd have to like do them one at a time and hold them and just stand there and wait and not move, and then do the next one and wait. If you can imagine how long it takes for egg whites to dry, that's
Probably
how
a really long
it,
time.
it was a lot. It was a whole thing. Yeah.
My way of back in the day, my way of making like a mohawk was in a bath with shampoo.
Oh yeah. That's what it's fun to do.
So what like so you said you fought a lot and a lot of with jocks. Did you ever fight with like other punk rockers or punk category like
Sometimes.
groups?
No, well, some of the guys I never did, but some of the guys did. So I have to clarify. So because it wasn't like one thing, like it seems like now, like punks in Seattle were different than punks in San Francisco, who are different than punks in Los Angeles, who are different than punks on the East Coast. So in Seattle, it was a lot of the jocks and getting messed with by jocks. In Los Angeles, it was more of like a gang culture. So there would be different pockets where maybe this pocket didn't get along with that pocket, and then sometimes they would fight. But it's always guys, not so much the girls.
Would you be okay with sharing how you became a street punk?
It just kind of happened. Like I wasn't like planning it, but I'm old, and somebody told me there's this new band called the Sex Pistols out, and I should check them out because they're really cool. And back then it was all the '80s big hair bands that a lot of people didn't actually like that I knew. So and I didn't fit in. I mean, back in the beginning, it was all the people that didn't fit in anywhere else, and so I did like the music, and I was addict from a pretty young age, so that was part of it. So I was already like selling. I was in high school and I was already like selling drugs and stuff, and so I was cool in that crowd. So then I got invited to the parties, and then it was a very welcoming crowd for people that didn't fit in. So I was just immediately a part of it. Like, yay, you're one of us, because you're not any, you don't fit in with anybody, so you're one of us. And then it just kind of went from there. Kind of in a drug infused impulsive decision, I hitchhiked from Seattle to San Francisco with a friend, and then she kind of got into trouble there, and so we kept going to Los Angeles, and then she already had made that trek, so she's like, here's the LA punks, and it was on Thanksgiving, and they were having there's this movie called Children of the Night, so that was like a real thing, but they were giving a big Thanksgiving dinner to all the homeless kids, so I got swept along with them there, and then we all went as a crowd. It was a very I think the part that's true, actually I don't know if they showed this on movies, but it's a very tribal thing. So you moved kind of in groups. It's partly for safety, but it's also because we didn't have a lot of resources. So one person might have something and share, and then the next person might have something else. And you need to know like where to sleep and things like that.
So how was this a big chunk of your formative years?
Pretty big. I think like about 10 years, I think, that I was doing that in one form or another. And then
doing hard drugs?
Yeah.
How did you escape from that that situation?
Well, I ended up back in Seattle.
Okay.
And all my friends were now heroin dealers, which was perfect for me. So they're like, here's some heroin, you can sell it too. And eventually, one of the things a lot of people don't know is that it stops working after a while. Like you just can't feel it. It doesn't matter how much you use. And so kind of like the party was over, right? I mean, I was using it to, like most people, self-medicating feelings, and it stopped working. And then I also got caught up with the law, and it was sorry, I'm saying a lot, but it was recommended to me by my lawyer to go into inpatient. So I did that, really had no plan on quitting. So I didn't. I came right back out and started. So I went back again. At this point, it was already court mandated. I'd already gone through the court, so it was court mandated. So I went back in. And at some point, I was in there for 60 days. The first time was only like 7 days. Second time was about 60 days. And at some point it was like, oh, I could quit. Like that, it really like never crossed my mind, like ever. I was told, there's that saying, once a junkie, always a junkie. And I just, okay, so I'm just doing this for the rest of my life. And it finally dawned on me that I didn't have to do that. So I stopped. And I get a lot of support. I go to outside meetings and things like that and get support.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. So I'm assuming that after this section of your life is when you started working towards your BFA in printmaking and painting, or was that before or after?
It was all mixed together. And that was actually...
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was actually one of the reasons I decided to quit, was because I got to a point where I realized I had to choose. I was either going to, sorry, I'm in mirror, do drugs, go to the next level with this, or I was going to do art. And I couldn't really do both. So I had to choose. And I decided to choose art.
I believe that was the right choice.
Yeah.
I'm no expert, but I think that would probably be the better of the two options. So you were juggling them. How did that work? You said you were juggling them both, or how was it working when you were trying to get your BFA in printmaking and painting, but also dealing with drug usage?
It didn't seem particularly hard at the time, because it was easier than, I guess, being on the streets in Los Angeles. I had an apartment at that time. I was dating a guy, and he was, doing the same stuff that I was doing. So it didn't really seem that hard. And, artists, it's kind of, there's a lot of, drug use going on and stuff. It's like being in music. Like, how do you learn to be a musician and do drugs at the same time? Well, it's just, it's kind of goes with it, right? So, sorry, my iPad. So it wasn't really that hard, and it's all I really knew. And I thought, a big fear for a lot of people is that they're going to be bored And for artists is that they're no longer going to be creative if they quit. Like the creativity comes from the drugs. It's kind of a 60s thing. But you know, it was actually much easier to not use drugs than to use drugs. It's like a lot of work to be a full-time drug addict. It's like really hard.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's anything in excess is labor, you know.
Yeah, a lot of.
Um,
I feel like I've worked harder doing that than I have doing anything else in my entire life. I think there's an idea that if you're a drug addict, you're just lazy and have no responsibilities, but it's like not at all true. It's very difficult, very very hard. I guess unless you're
or
rich and
some
have
of
like bring it to you on a silver platter or something. But
the gold platter,
gold
platinum
platter,
platter.
yes. Yeah.
What's another precious metal? There's another one. Palladium. Palladium. Is it palladium? There's platinum, and then there's platinum, and then there's like palladium, which is another. I think it's palladium.
I think you're right.
It's just as expensive or around the same. Well, if you're able to have a palladium platter, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have any problem with that type of usage.
Right.
Yeah, and when you were you midway through your BFA, or was it like did you already graduate at a University of Washington while you're through this process of rehabbing and what's it called?
Detoxing.
Detoxing. How is that?
Well, I took time off school, of
Uh-huh.
course. I was in an inpatient. A lot of this is hard because it's like they just say about Woodstock. If you remember it, you weren't really there. So a lot of this is like, what did happen? Let me think. I think I was partway through my BFA in printmaking. I don't remember if I had a BFA in painting yet. I'm not sure. I'd have to actually look at records to tell you what.
I completely understand about like the timeline of I always forget like when I graduated like after high school. I don't remember like the specific dates of like when I got the BFA or any of the other degrees. Like, was it that time? I always forget. I always kind of use like okay, so this was happening, or it's ballparking this time because I started working here this time.
So basically what happened is I was doing printmaking and I decided I needed more color theory. So I did a BFA in painting and then I went back to printmaking, but I can't remember where the degrees fell in there.
And they were like, was it a double degree, like a double major, or was it separate degrees?
It was probably it was a double major. Yeah.
Uh-huh. What did you have any other majors, or like were you going to college for anything else before you decided to go with art, or art was the thing?
Yeah. Well, I went on an engineering degree because I got a scholarship. So I was never like dumb or anything. So I graduated high school a year early through kind of shady means. And then I went into college on an engineering scholarship and quickly discovered that I really hated it. And I started going into psychology because that was pretty cool. And then what really took off for me was the art, because I'd been like dabbling in art since I was a little kid. Like I'd always loved art. So like psychology was cool, but I really loved art.
What was the kind of stuff that you were making as a kid?
Oh, I think my third grade teacher was like a huge influence on me. And it was the stuff like making snowflakes. And although I did paint this goldfish that was ahead of its time, I gotta say, like I thought, how your mom always thinks your stuff is the best. She's like, oh my God, this is a wonderful goldfish. I was like, yeah, whatever. But I looked at it like as an adult and I was like, oh my God, I don't even know if I could paint that like now. That was an amazing goldfish. But it's stuff like I made a paper mache cat that was really cool. Yeah.
How long did you keep the cat?
My mom actually kept it, I think, through my 30s.
Oh wow.
It was a pretty cool
But,
cat.
so it's probably it was a really well constructed cat.
It was, well, it was a model of an actual cat that I had, and it was
Okay.
pretty spot on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your experiences as as a kid and then as a teenager and during your punk rock phase, right? How has it influenced your work now? I have an idea that because of the photojournalism, the work that you're taking part in, but like, is there anything else that is influencing you now, as
Well,
from your kid times or kids when you were a kid times? Oh gosh, that sounds so silly. During the kid times, what? Oh wow, okay. I think you understand the question.
yeah. Well, first of all, it wasn't a phase. My parents thought it was a phase, but it wasn't a phase. I think, when you get into, like, the difference between a poser and a punk rocker, it's the way you think about the world and the way you see the world. So I think
Hmm.
that's definitely, um, still there. And people, like, they comment. I mean, it's hard for me to say because it's just normal to me, but people comment like, "Oh, I really love your eye. You've got a really great eye, and you see things so that other people don't see them." So there's that. But I think the more obvious way is I really love. I mean, if you're living on the street and in abandoned buildings and things like that, and you're an artist, which a lot of kids on the street are, and I have a whole theory about that. But you tend to see the beauty in wherever you're at. So I
Hmm.
still, like, really love, like, decayed buildings and rust and, like, layers of stuff on, like, maybe like brick with a flyer with paint with, like, layers of stuff. The whole urban scene and graffiti, I think, is super cool. So that's a lot of what draws my attention. And I really love, so I did this book. I was actually approached to do this book because I was putting on Instagram a lot of photos of the interior of abandoned buildings with graffiti that I saw, and I got approached to do this book. And there's something about, like sneaking, like, I'll say that I realized after I put the book out that it's a whole book of me breaking the law. So I'll say that. But there's something about, like, sneaking into a building, like figuring out how to get in. And then if there's, like, graffiti, it's like you're walking in and then it's like whoosh, like this really beautiful thing in front of you. And there's something really cool about that. And I'm sure that's from doing that when I was back in the teen days.
What was when I was looking at some of your work, um, I don't know if this is by plan or this is something that is you kind of gravitate towards. So there's a lot of these like these pieces, photographs of these graffitied walls or graffitied doorways, and then there's like this opening, right? So
Yeah.
you have like a graffiti on the left and right side of the composition, and then there's some sort of opening, uh,
Yeah.
like you're creating a window of sorts. Is that what you're thinking about when you're doing those type of compositions with your camera?
Yeah. So the correct way to do that is like this, by the way,
Am I doing it wrong?
because then you can,
So,
like, change it.
oh, like okay. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Just so if you ever want to look real.
I
Um,
I have a window somewhere. Actually, I have one right here. Oh no. Ah, I have a window, a little drawing window. I
that
but it's
does that. So you kind
yeah.
of
I
need
can
to.
show it to you right now.
I'm framing myself now.
Oh
Okay, great.
no.
While he's figuring that out.
Yep, I have a window.
Oh, look, there you go.
Yeah, I have a window right here. So I have a little window. See, so
Okay.
yep, you can just do a little stuff like that. I don't know why I showed that. It was just nearby and we were talking about it. I just wanted to prove that I had a window.
So yeah, there's a couple things going on. For one thing, I don't want to just and I have been guilty of it without even realizing I was doing it. So I've apologized, but I'm trying not to actually just take a picture of somebody's graffiti and then say, look at my beautiful photograph, because it's like taking a photograph of the Mona Lisa and then saying, look at my beautiful photograph, right? It's actually the other artist that did the great work. So I'm usually trying not to do that. I'm usually trying to like do like an extreme close up, or like way back, so it's their art plus whatever's around their art. But I am drawn to like doors and windows and things, so it's kind of sorry, I keep going the wrong way. It's kind of perfect, because if there's like these beautiful pieces out here, and I don't want to just like snap on either side, but I can use like the tail ends of both of them to make a new picture. And then I love looking through. And so I, you know, originally I was just drawn to that. Like I love doors and windows and looking through things. And so I had to figure out like, why is that? I had to kind of figure out for myself, like, what is going on here? And I think it's what I've decided, and I might change my opinion on this, is that it's kind of like looking through one life into the next, or like starting on a journey and you're like looking at the first steps on the journey, and then it kind of opens up to who knows what. And I remember as a kid, like when I first started like going away from home, that's what I kind of felt like I was stepping out into the, you know, this adventure that I was going to have, this great thing. And then I think as I got older, I realized that it's like almost like a threshold you have to pass through. I think for sure when I got clean, it felt like that. Like I was very much here, and I had to kind of cross that threshold to get over here. So I think that's where it comes from. That's my best guess.
Makes sense, because that's what it felt like. It felt like a window or a doorway, an opening to another area.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't part of the foreground, right? Because just the way that it was cropped, and I think just like on a composite, like just on a by default in a compositional device, having the graffiti walls kind of crop the area is going to kind of create that perception as well,
right?
You know,
and especially if one has like these lines, like a lot of them. Sorry, I guess centered. They have these lines, like whether it's the
forced
roof,
perspective,
or so you can really see it, and it makes it even seem more like a journey you're going down. So I like that.
So why I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. So why the you're not photographing a graffiti in its entirety, or treating it as like a I'm trying to think about this. I don't know a way to explain it, but like, why do you avoid taking a photograph of the entire work?
Well, I do, because I like them, but I don't show them as my art, because it's not somebody else's art. And as much as like in my book, as much as possible, and I'm trying to do it more in my titles, I'm trying to give credit, if I can figure out, I'm trying to give credit to whoever did the graffiti piece. And I did another talk specifically about my book, and I was like, please tell me if I got the names wrong, or if you know who this is. And a couple people did correct who I had given credit to, so that's cool. But I just feel like I shouldn't be taking credit for what somebody else put in this whole, all this work, and I just happen to come by and take a photo, and now I'm saying that it's mine. Like I feel like that's stealing, and it's not really fair. I did post some stuff on Instagram that was somebody's work, but I photographed it. I figured out who it was. I found their Facebook page. I was like, hey, I took these photos. Is it okay if I post them? And then she said yes. And I linked them to her. And that felt cleaner to me, doing it like that.
So this is a subject that I have very little understanding of. Like, how do you navigate through that genre of artwork? You know, if you're taking photos of it, or were people getting mad if you didn't do your due diligence and maybe labeled an artist. You didn't mean to, right? But like it's a weird turf because it's like in a public arena, right? And the artist puts themselves out there, and I completely understand if that artist gets mad if another person's taking a photo of it or doing some sort of manipulation and calling it their own. But what about the ones that are unintentional? I recall some conversations I had years back about some person posting their a picture of them with their car, like they're like they had this really nice car, and posting their picture with their car next to a well-known graffiti artist, and that well-known graffiti artist was saying, "Thank you for the shout out, but I would love to have some sort of compensation for the photo for you promoting it." But the thing was, it was this lady taking a photo of her next to her car, next to right in front of a graffiti piece, and then it was like an Instagram account that basically is of like Nissan. I don't know, a Nissan Instagram account that's an official Nissan Instagram. I don't know what like an official corporate car Instagram account. I don't know. I'm not going to quote Nissan or Pontiac, but whoever. It doesn't matter. It's just a corporate entity who has an Instagram account, and what all this Instagram account does is basically repost other people's photos of them in their cars that are of that same brand. And this happened to be of this lady's car in front of this graffiti. And they expected the graffiti artist expected some sort of compensation or something through like a third party's photo. And it wasn't even, it was just some weird like recycled repost from a repost. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of getting into legal stuff that I don't know a whole lot about.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I know that you, if you make it, you have the copyright on that art, and I suppose like and artists talk about this, like because I know there's like Urban Outfitters, I think, is notorious for stealing other people's art and then putting it on their own clothes. I can only talk about what I would do. So I like if somebody was to use my photograph, I would just want them to note that it was my photograph.
Yeah.
And then I get free advertising from that. But for the graffiti artists, I guess because I'm an artist too, and I understand about art and how hard it is to make art, and how little you get from art and all that, and how hard it is to put it out and all that. And because I respect graffiti artists, I know how hard it is to be a good graffiti artist. It's like you try to go out and do it. It's like really hard.
Yeah.
That I would. So what I told this person that I did get in contact with is that if I sell it, I'll give her half, because she did as much or more work than I did. So
yeah.
I think I would probably just talk to the person and if that piece sold. I mean, we're all trying to make it, and I've got another job. It's not like I'm really trying to scrap for money. I would like to be a self-supporting artist, but I'm not. So in the meantime, I think there's that whole idea that we need to pull people up with us instead of like walking on the backs of people. Let's pull ourselves up. So
yeah.
But yeah, different people handle it in different ways. I think legally that person owns their artwork, but
yeah,
you're right. You put it out in public, just like a public statue, right? And then people will photograph themselves standing next to the statue.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what the answer is. I think people just have to, and I don't blame the artist like trying to get some money from that. Like, why not? They probably don't have a lot of money. So
I totally agree. I didn't get an argument about it like this, like the one and only like internet squabble that I had. and I basically said it was some other person's photo that the company just basically that Instagram account, that company's Instagram account, all they do is repost other people's photos of their cars, and this one just happened to be in front of this graffiti piece, and yeah, I don't know. They didn't think about like the layers of where this post came from, and like yeah, you're gonna be chasing your tail with all the like just the internet, and how
Yeah.
people post everything, and the it's just it's a very weird world to kind of navigate through. Like you have all these companies that print shops on print on demand shops that you can almost copy and paste other people's work and not even know it, or you're doing it to kind of make a quick buck, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a weird world with copyright laws, and especially work which is in a public arena, where like how do you how do you monetize that, or not even monetize, but how do you regulate like people photographing your work in those areas? They're everywhere. It'd be
Yeah.
a full-time job.
Yeah, that's why I don't do it. I mean, I do have a thing. I don't even remember how I set this up, but I have a thing in Google where if my name gets said, it alerts me, which is kind of cool. But the way I look at it is like it just happened and somebody like referenced my name, and I was like, oh, cool, they referenced my name. So I immediately took the link and posted it on my own page. So I
Yeah.
use it more like that, like build off of it. But if it was somebody like Urban Outfitters that was trying to make money off of my art
Yeah.
without giving me money, I'd be pissed about that.
Yeah, like some sort of royalty.
Right.
I don't know if it'd be a lot, but still, like 10 cents or something. You got
Well, and some
30
people do
shirts, get $3. Yeah.
some people do that. They'll sell the digital file, and that's how they
Hmm.
make a lot of their money. So, buy the digital file if you're going to do that. Don't just like take it off the internet and put it on your clothing.
Yeah, like even like the internet is not, open source free imagery land, you know.
Right.
Um, so what kind of photographer are you with regards to like how you work? Is there a specific type of like category you'd place yourself? Because I know some artists, some photographers are do a lot of exploring. They plan their trips. Some photographers, I should just say artists. They're the same thing to me. Some artists will do a lot of volume work. They look like photo, 500 photos in 5 hours, photo, and then some are like are a minimalist, and they're like, I want to get as little photos as necessary, but I want to be
Yeah.
as meticulous as I can and as purposeful with the photo. I'm not gonna take photos over photo after photo, and then some are like, I don't like the sky swap feature on Photoshop. That's photo manipulation, or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So, what kind of photographer are you?
Well, I carry my camera with me. It's a pretty small camera, so I have like a backpack purse thing, and I usually have it on me so that if I see something, I can snap it. Um, but then sometimes I'll have a specific spot. Like today, we were going to go out to this area. Me and a friend were going to go to an area near my house called the all sorry, I have a stutter too. The
I
Albany
got it.
Bulb, and it was it's a pretty cool place. It was it is a landfill, and historically it was just not being used for anything. So a lot of
Hmm.
homeless people moved into it and created like a little community out there. And they had like had a library, and people would come in and have tours, and they made like a bunch of art things, and then other artists would come in and make like use like stuff from the landfill and paint and make things, and it was pretty cool. And then they kicked all the homeless people off at some point. And then they decided it was going to be a bird sanctuary, so like nobody could do anything there. And now they've kind of done like a mixed use thing. So artists are still going in there now and doing just like random weird things, but it's a open park and people can walk through it. Dogs can come through there. So it's fun to go see what's new and what's changed and take photographs. And some of my photographs are from there. So that was kind of a more purposeful thing. We wanted to go for a hike, but we're going to photograph and kind of just do whatever. And then I'm also working on some series. So I don't purposely go out and look for things, because like one thing that I'm purposely trying to find is I'm trying to build on this photograph I did, where an element of it, it's a photo collage where I'm mixing different elements together, and one element is a burned out, not a burned out, it's a skeleton of a building, so a wood skeleton of a building, and for some reason there's a random window. So I'm going off the screen again. A random window in it, and then I put other stuff with it. And this woman said, "Wow, you do more of those, and I'll get you a solo gallery show." So I was like, "Okay." And I told her, "Well, it's hard to find skeletons of buildings." And she's like, "Well, that's the work. That's why I'll give you a gallery show." And I was like, "Okay." So whenever I see something like that, I'm like, and I stop and I take a lot of time and try to get the right photo and try to really think about how I'm going to use it. So I do different things on different days. I don't do the go out and just take as many photos as I can, because that irritates me. Then I have all these photos I got to look through, and it kind of bogs me down. So usually when I'm photographing, I'm like this is exactly how I want it framed. This is exactly how I want it to look. And then when I go to my laptop, if it was working, I would maybe refine that a little bit. I like to, so for a while I was calling myself my stuff photo expressionism, because I want to show not just what I was seeing, but what I was feeling when I saw it. So I might boost the vibrancy up a little bit, like not crazy, but just like a little bit, so it has more of the emotion, it feels like to me. And I might make it more sharper, especially if I because I do it pretty quick. So if I blurred it a little bit, I might sharpen the photo so it's clear, things like that. But I don't manipulate it very much.
Yeah, taking 500 photos in a session, you got to process all of those.
I know, it's like a lot of work.
And then a lot of the photographers I spoke to about this stuff, like they've informed me that they keep all of them. Like, I have all the photos. I'm like, oh my gosh.
You don't want to get rid of photos because you never know, right?
You never know when they might pull those out and use them again, right? So you are working towards a gallery show. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, before shelter in place, I don't go out as much as I used to, because I used to just, I live in the Oakland area, if people know where that is, and there's like graffiti all over the place. It's like, especially with shelter in place, it's like the graffiti artists went crazy. I just caught somebody. So I have a box truck, a big box truck, because I would do outdoor shows. I forgot, you can't see what I'm saying. A big box truck. And because I do outdoor shows sometimes, and all my stuff is in there, and I caught somebody graffitiing my box truck, and I was like trying to sneak out to see who it was, and she was like, I was like, no, it's cool, you're doing a great job, like keep on going. But yeah, so anyway, I'm not out as much, so I'm not seeing as much, I'm not photographing as much, so who knows when the art galleries are going to open back up. I am in 3 shows right now, but they're all, one's in person, 2 are online. But it's an art gallery who can't open right now is doing a show in an art store that can open. So just a bunch of us are on the walls of this art store. So, but it's all kind of on hold right now. And I'm an essential worker in my other life, so I've been working this whole time. So I never have a lot of free time to really just sit down with my art.
Well, I have 2 things I wanted to state. When you were when you were catching the graffiti artists, were you like, keep going, don't stop, just keep painting? They're like, oh, you caught me. No, just keep going. I got you.
Yeah, well, I was sitting on my couch. I'm right by my window, so I could hear somebody. I was like, are they breaking in my truck or are they painting my truck? And I kept hearing the like, click, 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 click. So I was like, okay, they're painting my truck. And so I was like, I'm warm, I'm comfortable, I don't want to go out. But they kept doing it, and then I saw they were shining a light. I'm like, are they graffitiing my car and robbing my car at the same time? So I was finally like, I've got to go out and see what's going on. Mm-hmm. So this was like, I guess, where my street life comes in. So I grabbed this big wrench and I'm like trying to creep out there with my giant wrench, and mm-hmm. And then I was like peeking through the fence and I could see her, and then it was kind of like, okay, this is weird. I'm kind of like creeping on her, but I didn't want to open the gate because I thought she might just run. So I was trying to like really slowly open the gate, but then she's hearing all of this, right? So she's like, what the hell is going on?
Freezing on you.
Yeah.
Oh, so I have a question, and I experienced this as well. So you're a full-time worker, right?
Yeah.
Now I want maybe could you explain or maybe give some pointers? Let's do this. Let's explain how that works for you to be a full-time employee and then also be an artist on like a full-time artist, right? And after, like, the question B would be like, do you have any like tips and strategies that someone who's working full-time and they're trying to slowly nudge their way towards being an independent artist outside of their full-time job? Like, what are some things you can do about that?
Well, one thing, I noticed my battery's dying. I need to grab a cord. But
oh no, this is not the first time this has happened. Actually, it's like it's more than once. So yeah, keep on talking.
Okay. Maybe
is your battery far away?
No, it's right there. Okay.
Is it right there?
It's right there.
It's right over there.
Right there.
Just keep going over there. I'm going to say how Xan Walker's picking up her phone charger or is it iPad charger to charge her phone because we're running low in juice. This is actually the first time this has happened. I actually had another artist, Michael, and his phone was dying the entire time. Like, I think it was dying at like yeah, I know I should grow my mustache. I know. Maybe during No Shave of November, I'll grow back my mustache. It just gets hard to articulate words with a mustache like that. Okay, so we had you're there?
Because I thought I was going to do it.
You didn't think the stream would last this long?
So I just realized I could pick this up. I'm not doing this as smoothly as I thought I was going to do it, but
you can also while you're doing that, tilt your iPad or iPhone on its side and let's see what happens. There we go. Bigger? Success. You're full widescreen now.
Okay.
So you don't have to like keep in the frame anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, because before you were like, okay. So
So to be a full-time artist, can I talk and do this at the same time? It's actually like super hard, and hanging out with friends kind of goes by the wayside. So a lot of my friends are artists, and like I said, a lot of the, I'm still friends with some of the people I was friends with back then. I didn't want to look at my ear.
Oh, your ear.
So you were looking at my ear.
Oh no. Well, that happened. Oh my gosh. We're going to have to we're so going to have to get Xan back on. In the meantime, I was enjoying her talking about her experiences as an artist. So as we are going about the day, hopefully she'll sign back on right now. So let's see here. Maybe I can't. Oh, we got to go to another. So what I have is Xan Walker, and she apparently exited out of the live stream. And oddly enough, this isn't the first time this has happened. Actually, oddly, it's not even oddly enough. Like, this is just a normal thing that occurs for me. Like, was it Murphy's Law? Like, anything that can go wrong will. And so I'm like, all right, great. Let's just have this go wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a message to Xan right now with the link in hand again. And then hopefully she hops right back in. But this isn't the first time this has happened. I had an artist named Jasmine Raskus, and oh my goodness, she kept getting knocked out. I don't even know. It must have been like 5, 10 times. And then near the end, it was like this, like just roll up. Oh, there we are. Bam. There we go.
I don't know what happened. I'm still
Yeah.
trying to do my thing.
Great. So you're back in the frame. I was filibustering for a little bit, talking about another artist who actually was kicked out multiple times. And this is probably the more smooth, like the smoothest smoothest live stream that we had. Someone come out of the video and then jump back in. Okay. So this is nice.
A little bit techy, so okay. And I now have juice.
You have juice. Now you're here to spread the wisdom about how does one work full time as an employee and then work full time as an artist. Very hard. How do you do it?
Hard. I had to actually like make sure I carved out time. So I like am super anally structured about my days, and I really can only work on my art on the weekends because I have a pretty demanding job, and I come home and I just want to binge Netflix or go to bed. So I'm not as prolific probably as a lot of people. Like I'm on like web pages with artists. And they're like, oh yeah, today I did 6 paintings, and I joined this artist group, and I've on the side I made some cards. I'm like, I got to bed early so that I could go to work the next day. So it is hard, and I've got tons of art that I haven't gotten out yet. I was kind of looking forward to shelter in place. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna work on my art, and then no. Yeah. So I really just have to put aside time, and I'm one of those people where deadlines work really well for me. If there's some urgency, I'll do it. So I'll kind of like apply to a show, and then go, oh crap, I better get it together so I can do this show. And in the process of doing that, I'll pull together some art. Yeah. But it's harder for me to get motivated when I'm already like tired from a work week, and I still gotta like get ready for the next work week and do laundry and make food, and I've got other things going on that I do, and catch up on my TV shows and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I kind of gathered that you had a pretty intensive work week, because for the longest while, me and you tried to schedule like tech checks for like ever, and it just never worked out. Like I have a pretty busy week as well, so like I have like only certain time frames that I actually can do it, and so I was like, oh man, I don't think I'll be able to schedule a meeting with Xan prior to the actual live stream. I sure hope nothing like Xan or her getting disconnected is going to happen. Oh, yeah. Wait. So like
then I can just kind of pull it together like really fast. So
yeah. So like it's really, really hard to do that. Like I think I've tried to explain this to people, but this it kind of falls short of them. I guess the best way for them to understand, for another person to understand, is like, listen, try having 2 40-hour jobs.
Right.
Like that's what it basically means. Like that. Yeah. Like imagine the longest work week you've ever done, and like let's say that they work 50 hours. Like, or I don't know what the longest work week there is, but like, well, let's just say the longest work week for the average American might be at 50 hours. I don't know. And then double it.
Right. Yeah.
And
Because it's not just making the art. It's like, in today's world, there's a lot of internet marketing that goes on and applying to shows and taking the work to the shows. And in normal life, it was a lot of in-person shows. And as the artist, you usually are setting up your own thing. So you have to go there, before the show starts, set it all up, do the show, then usually tear it all down. And in there, you need to like eat and drink water and spread the word so people come. Make sure you have a way to take money. Make sure you have a way to take money if that way doesn't work. It's like a lot of things going on. So I'm not dating. I was dating somebody, and they got tired of me being gone. A lot of weekends trying to do this, and my friends are really they're artist friends because they get it. Right, most people don't get it, so they get it. And some work, a lot of them are retired, so a lot of artists don't really dive in until they retire, and that's probably what I'm going to do. Like, really, once I'm retired, I'll just be an artist full time. And it's also getting out and going to shows and meeting people. Like, I can't do that very well either, so I don't get the connections that some of my retired friends do.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
I like the exhibitions where you don't have to hang anything. You just drop the work off there, and then
That's nice.
they're like, we'll have this up for you next to when the show's up. Any place you specifically want your work at? Like, oh, well, I want this nice big piece right here, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like art fairs are really exhausting. I've only done a handful, and art fairs.
About.
Yeah, art. Yeah, okay. So like I have like I think I like kind of blanket like the term art show for me is like this a blanket term for me. I just think anything that's place that's showing art that is showing art. Yeah, art fairs, those are super exhausting, especially
they're super exhausting.
Oh gosh, you well, I don't want to explain it. Why don't you break it down to the viewers, because it is like well, this kind of like paint a picture for someone who doesn't understand like what entails setting up an art fair. Like, think of like one of the hardest ones you've been to.
So say I was gonna do an art fair. So we're in March. My calendar is a month off. So say in May, I was going to do an art show, say like May 1st. So already like back now, I would start thinking about, okay, well, what art do I want to have in the art show? I print to order. So because I'm a photographer, so if I was a painter, I would need to make sure that I had all the paintings I wanted, and you want different price points. And then maybe you want some of your stuff on like bags or other things, right? So people have a variety of stuff. So you got to kind of like start thinking about all this stuff so you have it all ready. And then I usually take a day off work before and a day off work after the show. So if the shows are usually Saturday, Sunday, so I take Friday and Monday off of work. And then Friday, I'm usually trying to make sure I've got food, because if you are buying food, it's almost, it's eating into what you're going to make. And it can get expensive.
Yeah.
Especially if you have to have it brought to you or something. So I'm usually like, going to the store, buying food, a lot of like snacky food, nothing too messy, right? Something I can just throw in my mouth. You got to make sure you have a lot of water. I usually make a big thermos of tea so I can drink it all day and not get too jittery.
Yeah.
As a woman, I think about like makeup that I'm going to put on that's going to stay on for 8 hours or more, right? Think about all this stuff, because you also want to come out of it feeling okay. So you need to make sure you're really taking care of yourself during the show, which are usually like 8 hours minimum. So then I go to sleep. I got to make sure I get a really good night's sleep. the day of. So if the show's going to be like 10 to 6 might be a show, right? So I got to get there at 8. Now keep in mind, all the artists are all trying to get there at 8 and set up. So people are trying to find like space. I think the best run shows. So if the art booths are in a line where my people come in this way, they drive their cars, you unload stuff as fast as you can, then you drive out and park, and then you walk back, and then you try to start setting all your stuff up. So it's like chaos right from the go.
Yeah.
You usually have to set up your own tent, which is, I can usually do myself, but sometimes people help each other get their tents set up. You have to think about wind. So I actually have like sandbags attached to the bottoms of my tent, but that hasn't been enough in some cases. So I actually, once we get back into shows, I'm going to build, there are these, what's that hard plastic stuff, the tubes? Anyway,
PVC pipes?
Yeah. And you fill them with cement and then you can anchor them. It's just like, that's a whole thing. You have to put the sides up usually. And then you got to figure out like, how are you going to hang all of your stuff up? So different people choose different things. The really professional, really expensive way are there these like cloth walls that you put up. Those are a lot of money for me. I don't.
How much are they?
One panel is like in the hundreds of dollars. So if you have several panels, but people do rent them. So I was using them and renting them. They're really heavy. They're hard to set up. So I'm like sweating by this point, and I've got all my cute clothes on and my makeup, and I'm like sweating. So what I eventually started buying is they're like wire. So they're, like 1-inch wire things. And I can set them up along the side. I can wire them to the top of the roof. So I'm using zip ties, and I'm like zip tying them onto the sides. And then I have some that are freestanding. So I got to get all that set up. And then I usually also sell bags, which sell pretty well. So I'm hooking those. There's a lot. And then you have to have tables because people want to make sure you're a real artist. So they want to be able to look through and see, okay, have you done other shows? I've done stuff that's been in print. So my kitty is slowly creeping. Hi. Slowly creeping towards me.
I love kitty cameos.
Yeah, it's a little kitty. Hi. So I got to get all that out, and then you want to have business cards. I usually go through a ton of those. Like most people aren't going to keep them, but they like to take them, right? I do that.
Oh, this is a nice card.
Yeah, I go places and I take stuff, and then I just.
It's a free card.
Yeah, so you want to get lots of cards, and then one thing that took the pressure off of me is this going to be a kitty cameo? No, they're going to be behind. One thing I was taught is that you're probably actually not going to sell a whole lot because people, if they buy it, they're going to have to carry it, and they don't know, is this going to work in my room? I don't know. I have to ask my spouse. I'm not sure. So what I'm really trying to do is getting people to sign up for my email list, and then I can, invite them to come to my website and look at stuff in the comfort of their own home. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, you want to sign up for my thing? So I'm constantly trying to talk to people, get them to sign up. If they decide they don't want to be on my mailing list, no harm, no foul. But, just trying to make contact with people. So you're trying to like chat people up, but don't chat up people too much because some people don't like to be chatted up. And you're constantly trying to gauge, like, does this person want me to talk to them? Do they not want me to talk to them? Which is a lot of emotional energy. And then when you're done, you got to tear it all down. So now I'm
for the night, or for the weekend.
If it's for the weekend, they usually have a way to keep your stuff safe. But if it's like a one-day show, which I really hate because it's all that effort for just one day. But at some point, you got to tear it all down. Oh, and I forgot, if it's a smaller show, then you're also paying for all the snacks, and if you're going to have wine and all that stuff, so somebody has to coordinate that. And usually you're making like postcards to go out to people and signs and all this stuff. But if somebody's running it, that's a lot easier. Just like if somebody's running the art show, you just drop your art off and go. But whenever you tear it down, it's usually like they want you gone fast. So they might have given you 3 hours to set up. you've got 1 hour to tear it all down. And so all the artists are trying to like tear it down, tear it down. You're kind of pulling your truck out, trying to throw stuff in your truck. That's actually why I got a box truck, because a lot of people will throw it in their car and then they got to drive home and unpack it from their car. So I just got a box truck. So I just got to put it back in the box truck. If I've got time, I'll pack it nice so it's ready to go. But a lot of times you're just trying to get it in your truck and just leave because you have to get out of the way so the next person can pull in. So it's just it's a lot. Then by then you're just like, I'm done. So I just sleep the whole next day.
Would you say that those 2 days are like 12-hour days at least?
Yeah, for sure. Because you have to get like your own stuff ready. Even if they let your stuff stay there, you have to. It's usually covered up somehow. So if you have a tent, you can like zip the whole thing up.
Yeah.
So like pulling stuff in, and the more expensive stuff you want to take.
Yeah.
So you do have to like reset up the next day, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work. So
it is.
Be nice to the artists at those art shows.
And one of the scary things about it is like, not just the wind, but like sometimes there can be bad thunderstorms.
Yeah.
I've oh, there it is. There's a cat in the frame. No, sometimes there can be
over.
there can be
it's a little baby.
There can be really, really bad thunderstorms that just wreck the entire art show. I would hear stories or see pictures and colleagues say, "Oh gosh, it was a terrible weekend. There was a giant just thunderstorm that swept through and knocked over 10 artist tents and everything's like just messed up. Loss of product, and some people it's all they just deal with all originals, so like it's loss of original work,
Right.
And there's nothing they can really do. Like they could probably like try to fire sale damaged goods or whatever they can with it. So we have a question here. Yeah. Do you ever have any special art moments where you finish an art project and think, how did this happen? Like a miracle? Did you ever like?
Yeah.
So maybe like oh, go ahead, you answer it.
Sorry, I'm having cat damage in the background. Yeah, and I love that. I think that's the special part of being an artist, the like magical part. And being a photographer, sometimes I'll see things and I'll be like, like that's magic. I have to photograph that because that is magic. And then it's my job to like transmit it so that you can see the magic too. But yeah, so with my photo collages more where I'm mixing things. I do straight photos and I do photo collages, but sometimes with the photo collages, I'll be like, I didn't mean for that to happen, and it's so great. Like I can really, it's like transmitting that magic onto the page. I don't know how else to say it, but it's very cool. I think that's what I shouldn't speak for all artists, but I think that's what a lot of artists are trying to do is help you see the magic that they saw.
Yeah. When you do your photo collages, are they digital or are they, traditional, like, mixed media collages?
Digital. I don't know if
they're digital.
This is one. I'll show you. This is one. How did I get this up here? Actually, just move
Good question.
I was having I'm like plugged in, so I can't really. That one. Oh, no, sorry.
We can't get in the frame.
It's mirror. Anyway, that one.
Okay.
These two are both. Oh, and then I got a cat. Okay.
The cat works as a collage too.
See this one, or see this. So this one is like a fan favorite. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, it's like a window.
I can't get a hold of this mirror thing. Okay, wait, like that. Okay. So it's actually inside is it's an iPhone photo from a plane, and the outside is a rooftop, and you can't really see it. It's too dark. But, sorry, I had that up there for another thing I was doing. What was the question? Now I forgot what you asked. Oh, so it's all digital, yeah.
Yeah. Do you do any traditional work? Any like drawing painting,
Yeah.
printmaking still?
I draw just for myself. Sometimes I'm actually, this is kind of a bummer, but my mom passed. Sorry, can you hear the cats?
Yeah,
My
fine.
my mom passed in December, and it was very hard. It wasn't because of COVID, it was because of cancer.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry to
right
hear that.
now, yeah, it's hard. Right now, I'm taking a art grief class. So it's a grief group, but they have us draw in the class, and then we have assignments to do outside of the class. So it's really nice to just kind of let my creativity flow for nobody else, not to make it look good, just to have fun. And with my photographs, I try to do that. I try to just have fun, not get too serious. Um, so yeah, and I did some paintings for my mom that she had, because I'm trained in painting. So I use acrylic paints. I really like oil. There's just too much toxic stuff, and it takes too long to dry. So I use acrylic paints, and then I do wood block prints, just because I knew at some point I wouldn't have a nice studio to do like other kinds. Like
Yeah.
you need a lot of material to do other kinds of printmaking, but woodblock I can just do in my house. So I do woodblock prints that I print by hand too. But I'm also a mom. My son's now, he's 24, but when he was a baby, I couldn't really paint or do woodblocks because I had this little baby I had to take care of, and that's when I got into getting back to photographs.
I totally understand not being able to create things
With a kid.
with a
Yeah,
baby.
yeah,
I have one right now, and
yeah,
it is through sheer force of will, I'm able to create things. But
yeah.
it's through sheer force of will and through lots of caffeine.
And you've got a spouse. So I was a single parent, but that's another thing that people don't explain is how much work being a parent is. Like nobody really gets it until they do it, but it's like a huge amount of work.
Yeah, yeah. Um, thankfully, she's getting older that I can kind of do some things without having to watch, be like a lifeguard.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's really hard to do that kind of to be a productive artist when with a child,
yeah.
like
Cause,
all that stuff that is entailed, you know.
yeah, because with printmaking and with the way I did painting, it wasn't it wasn't that I sat down, I did it, and then it was done, right? It was like a
Yeah,
multi-day, sometimes multi-week thing, and you can't really have things laying out if there's a kid because they're gonna spill on
yeah,
or spill juice on it or bother you. No, it's not a bother. They are a joy, but they would spread their joy at like every 5 minutes, right? So you can't really concentrate. And
there's some joy over here and some joy over here. There's joy everywhere, You're spending some dirty joy over here, and crown joy over there, and some chocolate milk joy down there.
yeah, not
you know?
not sure what that joy is, but it needs to be cleaned. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Uh, I was at the beginning of this, so I'm a teacher by day, so like I was making these demos, some demo pieces, so I can have something to present to the class. And I was in the process of making one, and uh, I was going to get some pants for for her, and I come back, and she's on this chair that I'm sitting on, and she managed to have some Sharpies that I had on the desk, was
Ooh,
just drawn all over it. And I did the movie theater, the movie actor, no,
yeah,
like I ripped my arm was out, like I was like, no, I wasn't like an angry no, like no, no, it was like,
yeah,
it wasn't like no, no, it was more like no.
yeah,
I was just, I wasn't, it was, it was like, it was like shame on me, but also like, it was also not expected, because it was
yeah,
like, I was just in another room, like 10 feet away, grab some pants, come there the back, and then all of a sudden, like, where are you? And then all of a sudden, sneaks away like a silly a toddler in a movie theater, or like in a movie film where those films where they have those like little babies that are trying to chase after one. What is it? Baby's Day Out, kind of like that, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen that movie. That sounds like a movie. If it isn't a movie, it should be one. I think it's a movie. But and then immediately the tear works, and I was like, no, it's okay. I just don't know what to do.
She was making
yeah, I spent a couple days working on it. I was trying to make it really clean because I was trying to emphasize a high level of craftsmanship, like just really, really clean, no pencil marks, no paint scuff marks anywhere. So in order for me to be clean, I gotta be really slow and wait for paint to dry and make sure nothing can contaminate it except for a kid. Yeah. So they're but she did make it better, and it was a good laugh, and I can always present it to class in the future. It's a good joke.
One good thing about having an artist as a parent is I let him color on the walls. My friends would come over and be like, oh my God. I was like, it's just a wall. It needs to be painted at some point anyway.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
It's like it's inevitable that is going to happen to the wall anyways. Like you're not going to stop it. You're just not. Like if it's going to be
crazy, or
if it's not a crayon or a Sharpie, it's going to be like, juice or like chocolate milk or something that's got spilled on, or I don't know what else, anything.
I had a dog and a kid, and my car was so gross, and I was like, no point in like trying to, put down rules. If you have a dog and a kid, your car is just going to be a mess. There's just no way to get around that.
Yeah, there's a lot of labor in keeping up a high level, like a very clean car,
Yes.
And even more so if you have a family and a kid,
Yeah.
Do you have any advice that you could give to artists?
Some advice that really helped me is you're an artist as soon as you say that you are. And I really liked that because I always felt like I'm not an artist yet. Like, I know I'm in art school and I'm making art, but I'm not an artist. And somebody said, you don't even have to go to art school to be an artist. You're an artist when you start making art. And it doesn't matter if people like it. Some people are always going to hate it. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to care. And that's just the nature of that. You just kind of got to just do it. Do what you like. You'll get feedback from people. You'll either take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Just go out and be creative, more than anything. I think the thing with kids is my creativity then went to my son. So he got to draw on the wall. Me and him like finger painted the bathroom wall, and I sealed it and made it all cool. I got him a video camera when he was into skateboarding. He wasn't a very good skateboarder, so I got him a video camera, and he started videotaping his friends. He got into graffiti for a while, and I gave him a wall that he could practice on. He had like all the art supplies he ever wanted. I always encouraged him. Then it switched to my house when he stopped destroying my house when he got older. Then it switched to my house. I keep playing with my house and making that cool. And you can be creative in lots of ways, and you just got to kind of own it. And some of the best artists are people that the rest of the world didn't like them, right? They didn't like them until decades after they started doing their art, and then they were kind of like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. So just do your own thing, call yourself an artist, and go out and make art.
So that's pretty interesting, a little statement that you said about artists being recognized decades after, because we have another question. Do you ever think about how people react to your work 100 years from now?
I kind of wondered, but not that much, because I find it so hard to predict the future. I mean, like 2 years ago, you couldn't have predicted this now. Like a lot of my stuff is going on. Like I said, I had 3 shows. 2 of them are digital.
Mhm.
This is the third artist talk I've done. I never thought I was going to do artist talks. I don't even know if
Congratulations.
people, huh?
3. I'm trying to do 3. There we go. 3. That's awesome.
I don't
Very
even know what
busy.
the world is going to be 100 years from now. So who knows? I mean, I don't know. I do think about doing things that will last though, because I went through art school and that's one of the things they teach you. So
Mhm.
I like the printer I have right now because it's all archival. So archival just means it's made out of materials that are supposed to last for hundreds of years.
Mhm.
I know in the 70s or 80s, a lot of people were just kind of doing whatever. And there's some famous artists that did like felt pens on just paper and they sold it for, thousands of dollars. And like a year later, it's all faded, right? So I think there was more of
Yeah.
a emphasis on making sure you're using good materials. But yeah, I don't think about it too much because who knows? I mean, we might
Yeah.
be living on Mars in 100 years. I don't really know.
Yeah. The ink, if you have your pieces displayed prominently in front of the sun, and if you don't have a if you're using just like a standard pen that's not really doesn't have like a that archival ink in there, it will start fading or yellowing.
Yeah,
Um, so that's where like keeping your if you bought a work that of that like level or that price range, and like if you didn't know, I understand, but if you were an art like connoisseur or art collector and you knew that this piece was drawn with a non-archival piece or non-archival ink, it's probably best to kind of maybe keep it in an area that doesn't get a lot of light and only present it
right.
every once in a while. Um, so I had another question regarding like advice to artists. So what about professional advice? Like, what can they do to start dipping their toes into a career of art? So you've
Well,
been through a lot of art shows. What can you share to them?
the advice that I would give that I would take if I had the time, I kind of do a version of this, is just say yes to anything. Just say yes. If you can do it, do it. Do it, because if people don't see your art, I mean, you can be like the best artist in the world, and if nobody sees it, it's not going to go anywhere. And on the flip side, I've seen some not great artists be like very famous because they were just out there doing stuff. You really got to get in front of people because, like, say like 1 in 1,000 people likes my art. Well, if I only ever interact with 50 people, then I'm never gonna find that person. Especially my
For
art's
sure.
it's a little odd. So I definitely have to get out in front of like a lot of people to find those few people that actually might like my art. Or the other way to go is just do stuff that people are gonna like take a bunch of photographs of the Golden Gate Bridge, like or photograph kitties, right? Or
Who doesn't
photograph
love
the sea.
kitties?
Yeah, I mean, there's a niche there that you can sell to. But if you're gonna be more experimental, you just gotta get out there. Just say yes what to what to whatever. I think so. Also, there's 2 schools of thought. You can either just be an artist, be a full-time artist, and I know some people who do that. Um, but you know, you don't make a lot of money being an artist until you're like you make that jump into like a bigger artist. So um, that's where that starving artist thing comes up. And again, you're limited by money about what you can do. I actually chose to work while I was an artist because I didn't want my income tied to my art. Because if my income
Yeah.
was tied to my art, then I would be thinking more, oh, I got to sell things that people like. I got to do more kitties. I got to do more
Yeah.
sunsets or beaches, right? But my money's not tied to my art. So I can kind of do what I want, see what kind of reaction I get. I can make flops, and it's not that big of a deal. Um, so you got to decide which way you want to go.
It
I
probably makes you a more rounded artist too if you're just able to experiment with
Yeah.
different genres, you know. And y-
Well,
to me,
I
go
would say,
ahead.
well, not so much genres, because you want to do that maybe like when you're in school, or maybe when you're very first starting out, but you want to have a a look, so people know what you're doing. So like they want to know that if they buy one of my pieces and a year later they buy one of my pieces, it's going to be in the same realm, right? But if I do like pop art one year, and then real art the next year, and then abstract art the next year, people get confused. It's kind of like with music, right? Like if somebody jumps around too much in their music, you're kind of like, what is this person do? Like, do they know what what they're doing? Most artists will pick one genre and just do that genre, and you can play around in that genre, but you kind of want to stay there so people know what you're doing. That
I
was
have
a
a
hard one for me.
oh
Really,
yeah.
really,
Well,
yeah,
I like to jump around too.
yeah.
And to me, the thing is like with my work when I do stuff, like it doesn't feel so separate
Here's
as
another
every.
kitty number two.
Okay, number two.
Oops.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel to me. It doesn't feel like like the styles or whatever I'm doing as different. They're just like just another thing that I do. But to the outsider, it feels like this person's just bouncing around everywhere,
Right.
you know. But when I do like 50 of the same thing, I don't feel like I'm bouncing around everywhere. I just don't show every 50 of them or like all of them, you know.
Yeah,
I
that's what some people do. They'll even have different web pages. So this web page is for this, that web page is for that. Because yeah, I mean, I do other things too, and I actually have two web pages so that I can do that.
Yeah, and you said that you say yes to everything. Is that the reason why you said yes to my invitation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah,
awesome.
sure. Yeah,
I'm glad that you
let's
said
do that.
yes. I really do
Yeah.
appreciate it. So could you share some promotional and marketing advice, like for someone who's starting out?
It's really hard for artists because it's like a different part of your brain.
Hmm.
Um, so I actually teamed up. My website is actually part of a group that like tells you what to do. So like on Sunday, do this. On Monday, do this. On Tuesday, do this. And I, of course, I can't do it because I'm working, but I kind of follow along and let them tell me what to do, because it takes like a whole nother part of my brain, and that's like a whole nother job. So you said like art is a 40-hour job, and normal work is a 40-hour job, and marketing your art is another 40-hour job. So it's really hard. I was trying to do like exactly what they were telling me to do the first year that I did it, and I like burned out so bad. I like got sick. It was, not good. So I would say get some help, unless your brain works like that. Like I'm so much the artist brain that it's like I it exhausts me trying to do that.
Yeah,
But basically we're in an internet world. You really need Facebook and Instagram at the very least. You need a website with a mailing list, and if you can pull off a blog post, that's great. I tend to like whatever I send to my mailing list, I just plop that in my blog post. But
hmm,
um, you got to be like adding to all those things all the time. So because if you don't, you get pushed farther down in
yeah,
like the feed. So it's like a whole thing. I mean, it's a lot of work. There's something called Later. If you're at that stage where you're doing this, there's this. I'm sure there's a lot, but there's this one called Later, and you can schedule out your Facebook and Instagram posts as far as you want. So when I'm really on top of it, I kind of fell off of it with my mom's death and
hmm,
doing all that kind of stuff. But I would schedule my posts out for like a month or two, and then I don't have to worry about it. So I just, then they just kind of roll out, and people are like, "Wow, you're so good at posting, and you're like, I'm so impressed. I'm like, oh yeah. But I'm really just, I did it one day, and then it's just like rolling out, and then I just have to like, yeah.
You can also do that through Hootsuite. I haven't done that used that one in a while.
I was on that one. It's real glitchy, and
it is. Yeah. There's a lot of so I haven't heard of later. So it must be a newer version of that type of like genre of posting applications.
I think it's better for artists because you just like click and drag, and then you can just, it's super easy.
Yeah, like what it boils down to is kind of brushing elbows, making calls, researching, posting on these platforms that and keeping a constant internet presence. Because if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I know that. Huh?
How did you find out about me?
Through the same group.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
That group, yeah.
But like, yeah, that's how it is. Imagine it's like this. Let's kind of like unpack it for the viewers. Like, if you work an hour as an artist, imagine that for every hour as an artist, you got to work an hour in your marketing.
Right.
Or even if it's 30 minutes for every hour, that stacks up. That starts making a big combo, and it's a big mountain, to kind of tackle. From my experience,
part of your brain, like this part of my brain that's like not how my brain works.
Yeah. Like, like the constantly having to sell things. You're not a salesman. Unfortunately, you got to put on that hat, and also it feels like you're also, as artists, we're kind of sensitive to like this corporate world. We're like, we don't necessarily like how they function, and so we feel bad for asking said prices for said things. But like, also you got to bear in mind, we've been doing these high level of craftsmanship objects for our entire life. We've been working on them forever. Like I like to put it. I hate using this reference. I use doctors a lot, because we use doctors. We see doctors as people that spend a lot of time doing something or getting educated. But like an artist, technically, if we want to be very micro about it, an artist's career starts the first time they start drawing or scratching on paper, because those technically are the hours that led up to that person drawing a high level, like highly hyper realistic drawing, if that person becomes like hyper realist, or led them to be an illustrator. Technically that started it, right? So they're like one of the few like fields where you literally can start when you're a kid, and when you're by the time someone graduates from college, that person has already put like 12 years of practice into their craft.
At the least, it could be more if they start younger. So I was watching an MMA fight before this, and it's the same thing with fighters now. It's like a lot of them start with things like MMA. They start when they're kids.
Oh yeah.
Now they're in their like 20s, and you think that they just have only been doing it for a few years, but they've actually spent their whole life doing this, and then they barely get paid, right? So there's something about things that come from within us. Like if it's not knowledge that I went to school for, somehow it's not valued at the same level.
Yeah.
But I worked hard to be an artist, and I learned darkroom photography before I learned anything else, and that's a whole other thing. And the darkroom, and I did some graphic design training, which is a whole nother thing. And I just bring that up because people say they can see that in my art. Like I've got a very graphic design style. So all of these experiences, there's a great story I heard. I'm going to totally butcher it. But,
go for it. I butcher them all the time.
Yeah. Okay. So in Asia, we'll just say China because I think it was China. So the Chinese emperor asked this famous artist to draw him a picture of his koi. We'll say koi fish. I was going to say salmon because I'm from Seattle, but a koi fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the artist said, yes, I'd be happy. I'd be honored to do that. I've never drawn a koi fish, though, so I'm going to need some time to make this painting. And the emperor was sure. So said sure. So months went by, years went by. He didn't hear anything from this artist. He finally goes and says, what's going on? Where's my painting of the koi fish? And the artist goes, oh, here. Pulls out a canvas, does a painting of a koi fish, takes him about an hour. It's beautiful. It's great. And he said, here. And the emperor said, why has it taken so long when you could have just done it in a couple hours? And the artist pulls out these drawers of like hundreds of paintings of koi fish that he'd been doing for all these years to get to the point where he could just do it really easy and get it done. So it's kind of like that. Like we've been doing like decades of koi fish drawing to be able to give you this one picture that you're seeing now. And we can make it look easy because we've done it for so long, so it looks easy. Like I can draw a perfect circle and just go doop. It took me like so long. Oops, my cat just fell off the table. It took me so long to be able to draw a perfect circle. And now if I do it, it looks easy. I'll just draw a perfect circle. Yeah. But you go home, try to draw a perfect circle. It's like super hard. It took me a really long time.
Yeah. That's why I use the doctor as a reference, because they spend like 12 years getting their education, but the artist has already got a decade on them if they started when they're a child. And funny thing that you brought up the circle thing. Since I'm an educator myself, some of the warm-ups I have my students do are drawing circles, and they probably and they probably think I'm like the sometimes they think that they think like this guy's so stupid. Why is he having us draw circles over and over again? And I was like, listen, it's like bodybuilding or powerlifting or weightlifting. It's like you got to get those reps in, man. You got to get those reps in. That circle is your rep. If you can draw a smooth circle, you can draw a smooth line. If you can draw a smooth line, you can draw curvilinear lines really well. And you need those curvilinear lines on a lot of your drawings. Otherwise, you're gonna be like scratchy.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah. Oops. You don't want to see cat butt. Okay. There.
Wow, that's pretty amazing, Shoebox. You can write with both hands at the same time. I can write with my left hand poorly and kind of draw. Not with I bet I'm right-handed, but I can't draw with my left hand too well.
I used to be able to draw or write with both hands at the same time, and it was super cool. But when I grew up, it was not okay to write with your left hand. Like they would train you to not write with your left hand. So I'm pissed, but I lost that skill.
Why is there a stigma with that? I wonder. Do you know?
I think it was just a long time ago. So I actually did look into it because I like to look into things. There's a thought that there was something wrong with you if you use there's some kind of brain problem there, and so they needed to correct your brain by using your right hand. But also there was a problem that all the desks were set up for right hand. The scissors were set up for right hand people. So it was too hard for the teachers. If some people were left hand, some people were right hand. I think they thought they were trying to make your life easier. But if I could use both hands, I don't see what the big deal was.
I'd rather be able to use both.
I'd like to use both.
I've
got kitty chaos going on.
That's all right. Kitty cats or not, that's great. I have a friend who's left-handed, and I would watch him write, and you almost got
you have to look like this.
You got to be a contortionist to kind of write from left to right, because you're writing. If you were to actually write like you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, you'd be digging into the paper, you'd be poking it, so you have to go against this. You'd have to go I guess against the grain with the way the pen is angled, so that's why they're tilting the pencil this way. so that it goes correctly with the way that words are made on the sentence. Wow. It's been a lot, Xan. They've had a lot to unpack today. Xan.
Yes, sir.
Do you have like a dream project that you would love to do in the future?
I mean, one of the reasons why I photograph graffiti artists is because I wish I could do that. I was learning how to do murals, and I think they're super cool. But I wasn't able to continue that, so I kind of lost the knowledge that I had. But right now, so I'm in a 1-bedroom house, and then I also have an in-law in the back. That's a 2-story one, and one side of it doesn't have any windows, and I really want to paint a mural on that one side of my house. Mm-hmm. It's hard because the neighbor next to me, he's a developer, and he's kind of a dick. So I don't think I can do it, but I would love to just set up some scaffolding, make a thing. I used to, when I was in college, I really wanted to do installation art.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Those are super cool. So, and I had this idea. I had a really cool idea, and I don't remember exactly what it is now, but like that those kind of like huge, large scale things I think are pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, maybe when I retire, I'll get back to some of that. I'm not sure. I was just fantasizing about today because there is one window, and I was thinking, well, maybe I could rappel down the side of my house from the window and swing back and forth. But I'm probably not going to do that. But yeah.
You could do your graffiti mural practice at night. Get through the whole thing at night in one night.
Just do it really fast.
While your developer neighbor's asleep, and then the developer will wake up and will make a complaint, and then you can just paint over it. But what you could do is you could take a photo, catalog it, photograph it, as capture it, and then
you did it. He couldn't say anything, but I would have to go on his property to be able to do it. And
okay.
So I'd have to put up the scaffolding and then do it real quick and then take it down. And then I could, since he doesn't live there, there's nobody that lives there. So then I could put it up the next night and do some more. And yeah.
So maybe you do have to repel, maybe you have to get yourself a little crane, drill it into your roof, and then have it lower you down, and then you just do your thing, Maybe you got to have maybe you can set a railings system on the cliff, on the edge of the roof there, and it's on some servo motors, and it could drive up and down around it. So your crane will be on it, so you can move around it and do all your work that way. Do you have $50,000 available to make that happen?
I just have to get a grant. That's all I need. I need a grant.
A grant, yeah. You'd have to be a really, really big grant, like a $20,000 grant.
What's funny is there was a guy down my street he's kind of like a mad scientist. He designed cars, and he's, I guess, kind of famous, and then he kind of went crazy. So he had this house, and he wanted to make, I don't know what he wanted to do really, but he at some point lost all his power, so he had it jerry-rigged, but he decided to dig out underneath his house to make another level, and you could see welding tools through the gap in the ground. He would be welding stuff, and then he started to go up. So he built stuff up on his roof, but then he started to go build bridges across to other people's roofs, and that's when he started getting into trouble. So
what is he preparing for, a zombie apocalypse so he could hop on roofs? That's funny, because you could have a siege bridge that just falls down on someone's roof.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. So Xan, do, do you have any like quotes or life advice that you would like to share to the audience?
Well, I actually have a quote that I use in my website, I think, and I stole it from one of my favorite art teachers. His name is Michael Spafford. I don't know if he's actually doing art anymore, but he would do these murals, really large murals and public murals, and he would kind of sneak in like things that shouldn't be there, like penises and things. That was hilarious. Like you'd you'd be like, is that a penis? Like I'm not sure. But anyway, it was pretty funny. But he would say, "Life is short, art is long," and it's really in Latin, but I can't say it in Latin. So the translation is "Life is short, art is long," and I really like that. Um, I like it because it gives this kind of timeless quality to it, and it's tied to. So I was in graduate art school, and I got really burned out. Uh, and I won't go into that whole thing, but it was partly because I was taking it like so serious, like this is important and it's serious, and I need to make a living doing this. This is also why I decided not to be a full-time artist, but I have to make my living on this, and it's important. I need to get in these galleries, and and it kind of killed my art.
Yeah.
And so since then, I decided to just play, like never take it too seriously. Try to play, try to have fun. The minute I made that switch, it's like boom. Then I started getting shows and like all that stuff that I was trying so hard to do. It just all started to happen. So I really try to hold on that idea of playing, not being too serious. Don't take yourself too serious. You're For me, I'll speak for myself. For me, it like kills the life in the art. It like kills the joy, kills the life. So that idea of life is short, art is long, it like kind of opens up the whole universe. Like you're kind of out of space time. I'm a sci-fi nerd too, but like you're out of space time, and it's just just have fun, just do it, see what happens, and it's gonna go on long after you're dead, and if you're lucky, your art will go on long after you're dead. But who knows? Don't think about that, because that's why that question, like, how will people view my art in 100 years? If I take if I take myself too seriously, that could really mess with my head. So I don't know. It might Nobody might see it in 100 years. I don't really know. But I try not to get too serious. Just have fun, play. When I get stuck, I just do something that, like, this is probably not going to work, but it's fun. I'm going to do it anyways. And yeah, that's my philosophy. That's like a key part of how I do my art. Just have fun.
That's interesting that you said that. Is when you so like when you are taking your art studies really seriously, like it puts it on a pedestal, and
Yeah,
it can sap the fun out of
yeah,
it. Like it loses its luster because now it starts feeling more like labor, and
yeah,
not even a labor of love. It's like the labor of
sure.
dragging your knuckles on concrete.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, now I gotta do
yeah,
this awful thing that I thought I loved again. you
yeah,
know and I have that often, even with the stuff I like doing, but it's more like, for me, when I make work, like there's certain things, certain effects that I want to have appearing in my paintings or drawings, and I just know, like, oh, this is not the fun part, because this is like the
yeah,
part where I have to really think and
yeah,
slow down. But like then there's some parts that are like really nice and really organic feeling, and that's kind of, hopefully you have that good mix,
yeah.
balancing out your artwork. Um,
That's why I don't do photorealism. I actually can do
oh
photorealism,
wow,
but I get so it's like it like saps my brain power, because you have to be like so anal and so
yeah,
perfect that it. So for some people, they can do it and it doesn't have that effect,
yeah.
but yeah, I just get like it's like I
It's
can't
like
do it.
I don't know how fast you are, but from my understanding, it's like these artists will spend. I don't have any experience with it. Like or if I do have experience, it's on such a small level. It's not on like the grandiose level of like hyper realism, but it's I think that from my understanding, it's like spending 4 to 8 hours on a small 4 by 4 inch area,
Right. Yeah.
and you're just working on that area, and then you move to the
Right.
other area,
Yeah.
and it's
It's
just
it's grueling. There's a weird satisfaction to it. And I think that's why people do it.
yeah.
But I'm more of like, do it fast, do it quick, do it,
Yeah, the end result is spectacular, but like to
Yeah.
get there, like I don't know how long it takes to make these pieces, but I know one artist, Chuck Close, would he make at most 6 pieces a year,
Yeah.
you know,
And he's
and
probably
that's
working really hard.
yeah, and he's working, that's working full time as an artist, like you're 9 to 5, probably then some,
Yeah.
and I couldn't imagine only getting 6 pieces done in a year. That and like maybe if I was really busy and I didn't have any choice to make to any time to make work, but like to make work where it was my job and I only got 6 pieces done, I would be going bananas. Just like
on the flip side, he's very well known. He's very famous.
Yeah.
Museums all over the
Oh
world.
yeah.
I don't know how much his paintings sell for. I don't even bother to look because it's probably like so much money.
$500,000 easily.
Yeah.
Probably. He's probably more. He's been there. He's been out there for quite a while.
Yeah.
I have one more question. Not my question. I have one more question, but there's a question here from one of our viewers. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you. So, all right. Yeah, read it out loud.
Both, dude.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Lover, Star Wars or Star Trek? Both. What character would you relate to and want to be? And how does music influence your creativity? Oh.
That's like a trifecta of questions.
Yeah. What character would you relate to and want to be? Well, I started, with the first Star Trek, and of course, like all young girls, I had a crush on Captain Kirk, but I really liked Captain Spock. I think a lot. I've actually been told I think too much. But who do I want to be?
Jean-Luc Picard.
No, probably what's the movie? I also have brain farts around names. The movie with like
Been there.
The raccoon guy and Groot and
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I'd probably
Star-Lord
in like a Marvel character, like somewhere in there. I think I'd prefer because they have more fun. Like I don't think I'd like a military. Oh, people have said that I remind them of. I'm gonna do it again. The show is before. It's like before this era. The Expanse.
Oh, I heard about that.
No, not the Expanse. It's the one, the black lady, and she's like the captain for a minute, and they jump into the future, into the parallel universe, and there's like the fire angel creature that's actually her in the future. What movie am I talking? What TV show am I talking about?
I don't know. It sounds like
there's
Terminator
the Asian
or something.
lady that kicks a lot of. Oh, it's the Earthers. Oh, maybe it is the Expanse. No, it's not the Expanse. I'm getting mixed up. Anyway, people say I remind them of her if I think of it. I was just watching the Expanse. I have that on my brain.
It's on the back of your brain dome.
Yeah, it's in there somewhere, mixed in with all the other stuff. Not the Expanse, the other one. It's like a pre-Star Trek show.
Oh, the new Star Trek, the Star Trek Enterprise, Star Trek Explorer.
No, I think you're thinking of what I'm thinking of. I just can't
like the newer Star Trek one.
Yeah, the black girl.
I don't remember. I haven't seen the series. I don't know the name, but I know what you're talking about. Like the newest series of the newest iteration of the Star Trek show.
Yeah, it's like Kirk, and she falls in love with a guy who turns out he's being inhabited by a Klingon, and people say I remind them of her. Whew, that was a long answer.
Maybe that'll come up.
Yeah.
So Xan,
I mean, music. I mean, probably. So, like I said, I was a punk rock person, and I think about that a lot. But I also like 70s rock, 80s punk, 90s grunge, and I like blues, but I don't think the blues really tie into my art. But just kind of rock and roll, I guess.
the rock and roll.
Yeah.
All right, Xan. One more question. You must
Yeah.
you must be winded.
No, I'm good. I like talking.
One more question. The question is, how would you like people?
Oh, Dax. I thought Dax was super cool. I would love to be Dax.
Drax or Dax?
Dax.
Who's Dax?
With the spots. She had the spots going down her back. She made
Is that on Star Trek?
Yeah. It was with the Black Captain, I think. Was that Captain?
Captain Marvel? Captain America?
The Star Trek series. She made a Klingon. She had like spots. She had like cool spots.
I have no clue.
I would like to be Dax. That is the final answer.
Unless it's Star Trek, the Next Generation, I don't know anything.
Okay.
Like the only reason why I know that is because I just like I was like, well, there's nothing going on today, and there's Star Trek on Netflix. Might as well click on that, and I just been watching it, and so that's the knowledge that I have with regarding Star Trek at the moment. How do you want people to remember this conversation? What would be like the general summation? Summarize it.
I guess like as far as advice, like just have fun. Like just claim your role as an artist. Don't follow the rules. Follow your own internal sense of what is right and what looks good and what feels good, and have fun. And also though, learn your craft. Use high quality stuff. Learn your craft, and within that, have fun.
Yeah, like we lose sight of how much labor it takes to really fine tune your skill, especially as an artist.
Yeah. And
You know?
never feel too good to learn from others, and take in. That's also part of why I like the idea of just say yes, because I find myself in situations where I'm actually learning a ton about something I never would have learned about if I hadn't just jumped in with both feet.
Yeah. Xan Walker, where can people find you? Give us some plugs.
XanBloodWalkerArt.com. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Xan Blood Walker.
Alrighty.
So it's pretty easy. Just type in Xan Blood Walker, and my stuff should fall down.
Xan, thank you so much for taking your Sunday evening and sharing with me your story, talking about your experiences, talking about your art, talking about your craft, giving us insight in the world of Xan Blood Walker. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on the show. It was fun.
Yes, it was great having you. And thank you for saying yes to it.
Yes.
And for everyone that's watching, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm getting ahead of myself. I have weekly artist interviews. I have them all the way. I scheduled them all the way up to June sometime. I don't know, something really far away. Like I have it all kind of mapped out. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like what you hear, to kind of get insights of artists around the world and in the Americas. I just want to say good night, everyone. Thank you very much, true art believers. Pierson out. Yeah, that's my closing line. I think it's pretty good. Bye.